All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Monday, September 13th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, at this time of the day at least, welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students and members alike inside the cyber group room today. We got Norman, got Andrea, Chuck, who just killed it. Not on this life stock. Life is lovely, certainly, pun intended, but he just killed it on the ATER, the other high flyer from today. He got 41 cents. Got Patrick, got all of us here. Otherwise, great to see all of us live inside Cyber Group. And today, if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. What's happening, Daniel? Joining us on YouTube today. So, with that in mind, let's hop right into life. I want to give Chuck and all of our other students a big shout on those that ended up trading the ATER with success today. But it's on the screen here. Life, LIFE, up 51% right now. I was a little verklempt heading into this afternoon meeting here. I don't have my Benzinga Pro up right now. Let me just do that. What's the news? Why is life up so much? Let's see. So it looks like this company shares trading higher, life shares trading higher after the company announced phase 1B/2A clinical trial for their drug regarding pulmonary sarcoidosis met its primary endpoint. Hey, I'm no scientist out there, but goes to show that we don't need to know the news as to why this stock is up the 52% that it's at. But we need to follow the volume, follow the big money as always. So I'll tell you what, this trade seemed really nice to us throughout the mid to late morning, even the early parts of the afternoon. Thing was a pain in the ass around $8. Like really, the first breakout off of 8 going into the late morning, you should have expected for this to begin to fall off around 8, just the next major resistance given how far it had ran upon the morning. But at least heading into the afternoon, it took some consolidation, a bunch of chops around 8, but obviously since have pushed up off of that price and perhaps now could be our runner into the close. So easily enough, we'll put the stock on our watch list. Notice that for right now, the high of the day, the HOD is at 849 and not 850. To me, that's extremely important because that goes to show that as of right now, there is zero ZERO buying interest so far off of 850. High of the day back from this year, February time was set at 833. So you can kind of you can kind of see it test around those prices here at this time. So, hey, hopefully we could see this make one final push up into the afternoon. But otherwise, if it does not make that push up, and I want to give Daniel F., one of our attendees on YouTube regularly, that is, he's joining us just now, but he had said life long and short. It's a great payout. And it's to say that this predominantly has been a long trade today, but if you're able to capture the top, perhaps short it from 8 that first go around, it could make as good of an opportunity on the way down as it was on the way up. So, yeah, easily enough, we'll just slip this life stock on our watch list heading into the afternoon. Now, I do have to talk about Bitcoin. We'll talk about that briefly at the end of this meeting. But otherwise, though, as I had said before, most of us were on this ATER trade upon the market opening up. Actually, let me jump back to my chart here. It's a monthly. Let me get back to a daily because very important to note that this stock has practically ran all from last week coming off of Labor Day and then heading into this morning. So the question that you want to ask, much like you would ask on life when it was lingering around that 8 level earlier on, is well, for a stock to go from like $6 dating back to Tuesday last week all the way up to like even in pre-market, granted, it was around 1475, 14 or basically 15 here. It's to say that once the market opened up, thankfully, this gave us a really nice pop. But that doesn't mean that that is going to dictate this trend throughout the whole day. This easily could have been a false breakout, and then smart money could have just closed out and just crushed this stock later on. Thankfully, that was not the case. And after it ended up dipping back down, it built back up. And once it re-broke above 15, that's when it ended up making the higher high. Once we saw more buying coming in off the 15 level, moved all the way up towards that first of a high of like 1750-ish plus. And I mean, even later on into the morning, we ended up seeing this build a Fausto flag, made a really nice pop from that point. It hit a high of like 19, if not exactly, maybe 1902. 1909. So again, goes to show a very similar play as to what we had on the life stock heading into the late morning, the mid to late morning. In this case, it was actually smack at 10:30. It seems 10:30 Eastern time. That's where we typically anticipate reversals or false breakouts. So hey, it ended up topping off right at 19, above 19, you can call it, and came back down from there. Obviously, now at this point heading into the afternoon, this is screaming on the way back up. So hey, we'll put this on our list. If you were very uncomfortable following this stock from earlier today, if you are a new student joining us, please let me be the first to tell you that you're going to catch probably 3 of these types of stocks per week with us live inside Cybergroup. So, hey, if you're timid, if you're uncomfortable following this stock, if you're afraid of losing a lot of money, that's okay. The one thing that you need to do, though, is not just sit on your hands and watch it just cluelessly. See why it made the move that it made. And at the end of the day today, even go back on this chart, go back to where we left off with it here, heading into the final hour and 25 minutes into the market close. See what happened on it. Study it if you're not going to trade it, that is. But, for those that did well on it from earlier today, of course, you should be the ones following the stock heading into the close. I would look to see another false breakout off of 18 coming up here. We ended up seeing that initially at first, but I would expect for there to be a little chop around 18 and then perhaps off another pop from that price, we could see it make the higher high. All right, so we had Life, we had ATER. I don't know if this one's on the gainer side right now, but Patrick, one of our students, had called it out just a moment ago after 2 o'clock Eastern time when it ended up snapping and popping over 1450. This is the IS trade, ISEE, back from Friday's trading, right? We ended up seeing the stock make a huge move in pre-market, ended up popping after the market opened up. Actually, on Friday, unlike today, Friday, it was easy to borrow. And that was a short that I ended up taking from 15 going into the mid to late morning here. So ended up providing both opportunities as a long, then as a short. Obviously today, right now, just pushing back on up here, up towards exactly that 15 level. Hey, put it on our list definitely, given the trend up for right now, and it is hard to borrow today. So unless if you can get approved from your broker to get the shares to short, then you should just be focused on one direction here for this trade. All right, so I'll tell you what, for any of the other movers that we ended up catching, we'll go over them briefly perhaps. I know TMC number 7 was called out here and there. I don't think that we really traded it that much though. So, really aside from those that we had covered just now, there wasn't really a whole lot out there that we ended up catching. So we'll see what we got. The ITMR trade, I just shouldn't have clicked it to begin with. It's a buyout. We're not going to trade a buyout like this, so we move on. I don't know if this is a buyout. I'm not going to bother to check. Just too pricey, very thin order book. It looks like a buyout. We pass. All right. So, geez, this is a disaster of a stock here. TMC ended up making a low volume squeeze up early today. When I say low volume, just look at the size of these volume spikes. Granted, it's trading 8.3 million shares total across the whole day. And that, is a lot for what we would look for right now. But that doesn't mean that it has very thick volume, lots of orders consistently spread across the bid and the ask of level 3. I mean, that's certainly not the case now, and it wasn't from earlier today. So, hey, this TMC trade, if you're able to catch it at the right time, catch the big pop, it got halted on the way up. I don't think this got halted on the way down. Nope. But either way, right now, clearly a pop and drop type of stock. So I'm not nearly as interested in this type of trade. Although I will say, there is a stock perhaps we'll come to on this list in a matter of moments. And if not, then we'll jump to it here. BLU. How about this? This was not on like the pre-market watch list. It was not on the morning watch list. Hey, to each their own. I thought there could have been a great chance to have this stock featured on the main list, and it's fine that it wasn't. It's just to say that, well, this thing had a lot of activity in pre-market. Obviously, it was trending down leading into the market open, so I wouldn't have expected a pop right out the gate. It's just to say, this stock dumped all the way back down. It was actually negative on the day at one point compared to being up the 19, 20 plus percent that it was in pre-market like it is currently. It's just to say this stock made a full recovery and then some. Right now, it's very flat here. I know one of our students, Brian W., who just wrote in the chat board saying blue worked for him. Yeah, he got like 84 cents on this trade. Brian W. got in from right here at hole number 4, it looked like. But yeah, just getting back to that other one, right? the TMC trade. Is it possible this thing can, pop back up? I guess anything's possible, folks, but not every stock could be that BLU. So we're going to pass on TMC for the meantime. MTNB, how about this? Nice little pop after the market opened up. It had a lot of activity early in pre-market, but was pretty flat after that pop. And then from there, ended up moving back up towards practically 110. For right now, very flat and slow. If this ends up making a pop once we finish up, we'll call it out. Maybe keep this on your side list going forward. All right, finally, a little LPTX talk here. Now, this one doesn't look nearly as good right now, and it really didn't look that great once the market opened up. It dropped off. But it's to say that, hey, for as much activity as we had on this stock in the pre-market session, that you would hope to see a bounce. And, depending on where you get it from, meaning if you're very good at identifying where we have iceberg orders or where we have bigger, levels altogether historically or from time in sales, every trade begins with the entry. The reason I bring this up is because I had a very mediocre morning, really. I was up like maybe a couple hundred, and that's not a whole lot. It took a while to get that. Well, I was watching this LPTX trade. I took a -3 cent here as it began to drop off. I thought it was going to tank. I move away from it. I come back to it 5 minutes later. Well, it didn't tank. It didn't make that big breakdown that I was expecting here. So, you know what? If you'd like the entry so much the first time, and if it didn't, totally tank, I think it could be worth taking a second time, right? You don't want to get stubborn. It's just to say that this trade completely made my day. It's the type of stock you could jump in on a lot of shares. I was in on 3,000 shares here from 170. I got out at 188, then 187 here. I was looking for two. So I scaled out the first half of my position with hopes of the last half moving up to two, but I saw a shake here, and right away I wrote in the chat board. I said, "Oh, that's an ugly shake there." And a few minutes later on, I sold. Look at where it is now, though. So you don't want to hope and hold if the stock's not going to make the move that you're expecting it to make. All right, so IVC pushing up right now a little bit from like 640. It looks like there's a little gap to fill there, perhaps. I like the OCGN a hell of a lot more. Now, if you've been attending these meetings, of course, if you're a longtime student in Cyber Group, but if you've been following us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube during our meetings, the mornings or the afternoons, across the period of time, then you should know that OCGN has been a very familiar name for us inside the trading room. I mean, really since the pandemic. Really since late 2020, but obviously we've been following the stock for quite a bit, if not from the start of the pandemic, then right here at the end of last year, and it was pushing up and down around, since. So for right now, I guess with some of the other vaccine stocks, moving up today, this is getting a nice healthy push up and, approaching 850 here. So for right now, definitely going to put it on our list. And really quickly, I do have bookmap up for this stock, level 4. So I'll drag it across my screen here just to show you. We had a lot of buying, really, once this started to move up from the 850 level. A couple of false breaks. It was not clean breakout from 850. But if it wasn't a clean breakout from 850 here, and if we keep seeing a lot of buying coming off that 850 level, I mean, one might call it being stubborn, but it's strategy. If it's not going to break lower here, and if it's going to keep testing 850, break over 850, and I'd like to expect a particular move on this stock. So definitely the OCGN will put back on our watch list here. All right, cool. So we'll see what else we got on the gainer side here, folks. We did catch the AEHR today. It pulled back off the highs. I know that. So maybe right now it's not in as good of a position here for the close. But, another sideless stock that we've been following really for the last month at this point, really for the last 2 weeks on and off. But today made a really nice pop today, broke out from 1050, moved quickly up to 11, made the second break and run from 11 here heading into the mid-morning. Right. So, hey, this stock we've said it in the past. We've said it about several other stocks, so many other stocks. I mean, hell, OCGN, if you look back on SPRT, if you look back on the ANY trade, all of these stocks have been runners for us in the last 2 weeks. You always have to keep these on the back burner at a minimum. That's all I'm saying. Even BBIG here, we had called out earlier into the mid-morning when it broke from 10, moved up to 1050. Hey, right now, this stock is in a position to perhaps run back up should 10 hold. So these are all stocks that we've seen trade across the last week to 3-4 weeks, and we've said consistently, just hey, keep a smaller eye on them. Once the market opens up, if there's not a whole lot from the main special watch list that moves, then stocks like the AEHR, SPRT, ANY, BBIG, those are all stocks that you could fall back on. So for those wondering, like, hey, where did you find AEHR? If you're asking that question today, then you are 2 weeks behind the curve because we've been following this stock, from that time, if not longer. So that's all. You don't want to fall in love with it and follow it every single day, every single minute. You're going to waste your time, some of those days. But you always keep them in the back of your head, and just, on occasion in a slow market, you turn around, see what's moving. And that's how you're able to catch these opportunities. CPG, it's at the high. It's just not really doing a whole lot right now. DTSS is down right now too. I saw Small Direct Club make a nice pop earlier today. Right now, not a whole lot happening now, it looks like, though. STC made a really nice squeeze after the market opened up shortly prior to 10 a.m. Eastern time. It broke from 530, moved up towards over 6. I think actually at the time, there was a huge iceberg order right off the high at 610. So it's a shame that this came back down. Perhaps keep this on your side list for this week. We'll check back in with it, I'm sure, tomorrow at a minimum. Let's see. VET, not the crypto VE chain. Let's hop over to the loser side here. Then we'll go through crypto at the end. Some funky business going on Litecoin today, actually. MDXG. All right. So full disclosure, I'm in this trade right now. I'm in as a short, and I've been short from 673. The reason I got in is basically because I was expecting a drop at some point today, and after the market opened up, it dropped down to a low at first of 671. So I was anticipating on that, if not 675, to act initially as resistance. So, thankfully that had happened. It dropped back down. It's very flat here, but I'm going to stay in the trade. Now, because of how flat it is now, I don't want you folks to be watching the grass grow, watching the paint dry on this trade. So I always say this, just because I'm in a position doesn't mean I'm going to put it on the list for you. If it was dropping back down a little bit more, here, if it was trending back down a little bit more and more active at this time of the day, then I'd be more keen for you folks to follow it. But I'm not as certain right now. If it drops down more for me, then I'll call it out for you folks in the room if it provides more direction after this meeting. But for right now, I'd see if there's anything moving a bit better. Question coming in on YouTube from Pabalo, and I apologize. I hope I got that name right. They're asking, do you have any strategies for trading indices? So he's talking about NQ practically. It's to say that we don't trade indexes here, or indices for the most part. We trade just equities. That's it. All right. If you'd like to learn more about what we do here, and this goes for all of us joining us on social media today for the first time, you can join us by going right down to the link on the banner below, signing up for a small week-long trial to our live trading room. But before that, if you're not ready to join us, if you'd like to ask me a quick question on the side, feel more than free. Send over a quick email right to my email address there, josh@ctutrading.com. All right. All right, so we keep on going down the losers list here in the meantime. If there's anything that's down a lot, I'll check it out, like MDXG is, but I don't really see many other good dead cat bounce opportunities, so I'll try and follow stocks otherwise that are just shortable near the lows. This made a dead cat bounce earlier today. Not a whole lot happening now on this AXTI, though. Not a whole lot out there otherwise, folks. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what. If you recall back on Friday afternoon, we were talking about the market drop off, and we were saying, well, hey, looking at some side list stocks, mind you, looking at the airlines in particular, it ended up providing us a great afternoon by following some of the stocks that went with the market that day, right? Well, if you look at the market right now, and I'm looking at the S&P ETF, mind you, the SPY, it's to say that we're seeing a gradual drop off heading into the afternoon, a little spike across the last 5 minutes, perhaps, but not as much really making that clear of a trend with the market, though. Nothing really moving as fast. So, hey, folks, if you see anything that's up, down, left, right, more than 5%, anything from your perspective that looks really good, just let me know. Type it in the chat board here. Life shook below 8. It's just getting choppy, if anything, right? I know what you mean, though, because that was from a few minutes ago. A little shake here, but still just very choppy. So You know what? Let me bring Bookmap up here. Don't mind doing so for right now if I have life up, that is. There we go. All right. I would say, I mean, you got an order on the bid at 780 as potential support. Looks like we had a lot more buying than selling just under that price. So 780. Otherwise, actually, as we speak, it's starting to squeak back up here. So if this wants to go, and it's always better sooner than later, but if it ends up dropping back down here, then I would watch for 780 as a potential support. All right. Let's see. From Michael, he says side list ARRY up 8% today. So right away, I'll check it out. Up over 5%, 8%. This ARRY. Oh, this made a nice trend across the day. This looks more of like a swing trade than anything. Obviously, if you jumped in after the market opened, you ended up doing really nicely. The question is, can this keep going? I'm not led to believe so, unless if it's really right at the highs as we're talking, or otherwise trading a lot more volume than just like the 3,000 shares a minute. So if you're in this as a swing trade, you're doing really good. But for right now, I'd rather follow something with a little bit more action to it. I'd say the same on Express here. Lewis says he likes Express here. Hey, if you're in Express right now from like a 575-ish, nice trade so far. Again, though, I'd want to have something with a lot more life to it. Looks like AMC is pushing up, obviously a lot more expensive there. But hey, if we have some Reddit stocks pushing up into the close and this is just the beginning, then perhaps we would want to follow the Express trade. But I would rather follow AMC first, see if that makes a really strong pop, and then perhaps some of the others like Express could follow suit. BlackBerry right now is doing jack, so I'm going to pass on all of them for right now, but maybe keep AMC on the back burner just in case if that makes a really nice pop, the others could follow. All right, so I'm going to flap my gums about crypto fast. Then we'll do one last call. All right, so what happened from the weekend here, folks? I mean, really, to be honest, not a whole lot. So I'm on a 6-hour graph right now. So coming off the weekend, that being September 10th on Friday, moved up, moved down. Looks like earlier today had a nice pop back up. There was a little news that came out, or perhaps now we could officially say fake news. Unfortunately, there is some fake news, actual fake news regarding Litecoin, LTC, and a deal, a partnership with Walmart. Well, that would sound fantastic. Well, we ended up seeing Litecoin. Look at this candle. And actually, I'll jump to a 15-minute chart for this. Look at this pop up on Litecoin today. That was based off of the reported news that we ended up realizing was fake. Litecoin themselves ended up coming out and dispelling that rumor. So unfortunately for Litecoin, we saw this crash right back down within a matter of minutes. And that was really collectively the entire crypto market. Bitcoin made the same move, not to as big of a pop, but ended up pulling right back down with the indices down today and near the lows. It wouldn't have shocked me to see Bitcoin drop back down even a bit more. But getting back to where we were calling for our bounce here, for anyone new joining the afternoon meetings on social media, I have a bunch of lines on this graph, but it's to say that when it was around 49, 50,000, I was warning everyone at the time that 49 would be resistance, if not 50, of course. But if we're getting a drop, I was calling this out 44,000. I mean, it's simply in between the two lines I had here 49,000, 39,000. There's more to it than that in regards to my analysis on it. But on this big shake that we had back from last week on the 7th, I wasn't sweating. If anything, I bought another $1,000 worth. I got in a little bit above 44,000. I'm practically break even as we stand on that last position. But for right now, I sit and wait. That's all. Nothing major really happened aside from Litecoin this morning, really. Uh, Congratulations to anyone on Cardano. Smart contract launch was from yesterday. I'd warned folks also that could be a buy the rumor, sell the news type event, at least very initially. So with this pulling back down a bit with Bitcoin, there's no sweat on this brow. That's all I'll say. I'm cool as a cucumber for right now. I'm just waiting. That's all. All right, so I wish there was more I could report, but that's all I got for you on crypto. Now, folks, last call. If there's anything up, down, left, right that we had missed as I was just going on about crypto there, type it in the chat board. Let me know. tell you what, looking at Benzinga Pro here really fast, there's not much that we had missed. I'll be very honest with us there. CLEU maybe? Nope, definitely not now. Looks like there was a new high of the day alert on this stock, but it goes to show this is making as fast of a drop down as it made pop up. Folks, hey, if we got 4 stocks to work with heading into the afternoon so far, that's perfect. I don't like to make too big of a list, although I am suspect to do that at times. So I think that we'll call it. We're pretty much set here for right now. Now, for Pablo, Daniel, all of us on YouTube, Facebook Live, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day and each and every afternoon. If you have any other questions, like I'd said before, feel more than free to send over a quick question right over to my email address. josh@ctutrading.com is my handle. Otherwise, if you're ready to make the jump to our live trading room, you could do so by going right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started. But for all of us there right now, you got James, Jeffrey, Lewis, Michael, Brian, Norman, Bobby, you got Grant, and all of us otherwise, of course. Where are the ladies at in the trading room here? How about that? Where are the ladies at right now? I look forward to speaking to everybody coming up very shortly and in just about 5 or 10 minutes from now. Take care.